Yes, evening, people. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a great weekend without having to stress about the Arsenal. We all miss it. Trust me, we all miss it. But sometimes it's nice to enjoy the break and relax. We've had the whole week of internationals. We've got the weekend of internationals. Formula One is back for Formula One fans like myself. And the whole of this week, we're going to have to talk about a little bit of England as well as the lead up to when the Premier League comes back, which is, of course, next weekend. Yeah, no more games in March for the Arsenal. The 1st of April, believe it or not, a Tuesday evening is when Arsenal next play against Fulham at home. That is going to be a very difficult game. And there are Arsenal rumours. There are Arsenal talk. There is Arsenal links. And that's why the name of the show today is going to be Arsenal Talk. Welcome back to 12th Man, people. It's been nice, to be honest, to have a little bit of a break from it. I've obviously uploaded quite a lot, put some of the clips out for you guys. You've all enjoyed those, I'm absolutely sure. Some really good controversy, some great debates. And I do appreciate every single one of you for getting us closer to the big 4-0, which is our next target. So let's make sure that we do right now the like and subscribe button, which needs to both be pushed. They are the two buttons that are free, and they are the two buttons that mean the most to the channel. So do that now, please, people. Hit the like and subscribe. We're moving closely towards 100 people of you being in here already. So please make sure that you hit like and subscribe on this one. We're going to be talking about Andrea Berta. We're going to be talking about links to a couple of players which he apparently has on his wish list. Now, it doesn't look as if the appointment is going to be imminent, but they do say that he is going to be our next sporting director, and it's going to be announced in the coming weeks. And that was reported at the early March. So we're coming towards late March now and still nothing. But obviously at the moment, international break, you'd assume that when we get back to the Premier League playing, you should expect to see and hear that Berta will be the sporting director. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some links. We're going to go through some of the Arsenal news as well. And we'll mention England very quickly, because I'm not going to lie to you. I brush over England as best I can. It frustrates the life out of me. It still doesn't really excite me. I find it very, very hard to get up for any England games that aren't the World Cup or the Euros. I've got to be real. That's just the way I am and the way I always have been. Big up to the chat. For those of you that have said like and subscribe, big up to man, big up to Carol, I hope you're well, big up to Guna Wayne, my boy Ash is in the house, I hope you're well, Ash. Hello Pat, hello Stu, hello Chills. We've got Harvey, late night Potsy. Yeah, do you know what, it is a late show, man, but let's do it. It's a Sunday night, and hopefully people are in the house for it. Big up to you, Harvey, I hope you're well. Big up to Andrew, real one. Big up to Patrick, real one. Big up to Zach as well, and everyone else that's watching on catch up. Really appreciate you being here. Make sure you do me a favor. Once you hit like and subscribe, you're following Football Prizes. Now, Football Prizes is sponsoring us for this month because they've got an unbelievable opportunity. And the opportunity is the Arsenal Mega Competition, which at the moment is just a 39 pence raffle ticket. Please do get involved in this, because as you can see, the prizes are phenomenal. There's 47 instant win prize opportunities. You have the Cesc Fabregas LED competition that is up for grabs. You have the 1989 shirts there with the numbers on the back. You also have Declan Rice signed and framed, William Saliba signed and framed, the one that I want, which is the Henry and Bergkamp signed and framed Invincible shirts. We've got Invincibles Vieira and Pires, and we've got current players as well, such as Martinelli, Saliba, Rice, Zinchenko, Trossard, Deluxe, Havertz is there also. So please make sure you get involved with this. You literally need to click on the link in the description and enter it. You've got until the 10th of April, people. So please make sure you get involved in this one, because this is the one that they are now putting out. And if I'm honest with you, they haven't done one as big as this before. So let's make sure that we get involved and follow them and show them some love, because they've been great to us. So we've got to be great to them. Make sure you're also following Reality Raffles as well. Reality Raffles links in the description. They've got great opportunities for you to get to football games, music concerts, and also other prizes as well. So please make sure you're showing them some love also. Okay, let's get to it, shall we? Let's quickly start on England. Where am I at with England? I'm not going to go into it too far because you've all joined to hear about Arsenal. Let me just give you my take on England. I think Thomas Tuchel's a great appointment. I think he's a winner. He's got a CV that says, I win trophies. He's been successful everywhere that he's been, whether it be in Germany, France, or of course in England with Chelsea. He's won a Champions League. He's got to a Champions League final twice. He's won one of them. He's also got Dortmund to a brilliant place and an opportunity of being put into some of the brackets of being one of their best managers alongside Jurgen Klopp. Done well over at Paris Saint-Germain, done well over in Germany with Bayern Munich, and of course done well with Chelsea. He's come to England and I loved his interview. His interview was basically, I come to win. I've not come here to muck around. I understand what the fans want. The fans want success. That's what I'm here to bring them. And then I saw his squad announced and I thought it was a little bit underwhelming. Now, I'm not saying it was a disgrace, but certainly the options to select Jordan Henderson and Kyle Walker, who are both going to be in their late 30s, 36, 37, by the time the tournament is being played, seems very silly to me. Now, I'm all for getting there and making sure you pick the best squad to get there, but I'm not sure Kyle Walker and Jordan Henderson should be in the head of the likes of Livramento and Adam Wharton, but that's just my opinion. Some people would say that Jordan Henderson and Kyle Walker deserve it. I personally don't really believe that they should be anywhere near it. I'm quite surprised that Marcus Rashford's been given the nod. I don't really think he's done anything this season to deserve that. I've had a handful of opportunities of playing against some of the opposition that Villa have played recently that he's done quite well against. But is that enough to get an England call-up? Not for me. So there's been a couple of question marks. If that was Gareth Southgate, we'd be going nuts. We have to remain consistent. Yeah, we can't be hypocritical and say Southgate was a nightmare and then say, look, what's Tuchel's doing? I know he's picked orders Henderson and Walker, but it don't matter because it's Tuchel. It does matter. It's poor. The other player I want to highlight, and I have wanted to highlight for a while for club and country, is Phil Foden. Now, I'm a big Phil Foden fan, but I feel like when he drops stinkers like he has for club and country, he seems to get away with it more than the likes of Bukayo Saka, Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, and Cole Palmer. And I don't quite know why that is. Maybe it's because he's got the medals to back it up. Maybe it's because he's got credit in the bank. But this is probably one of the worst seasons where someone has won Premier League Player of the Year and then has backed it up with this, because this has stunk. He's been poor consistently for City. He hasn't been good for England. And if I'm honest with you, he's yet to really impress me in an England shirt. We haven't really got a position for him. We've seen him played left. We've seen him played right the other night. We've seen him play through the middle. And he hasn't really delivered at any opportunity. There's no consistency to his game in an England shirt. And I find that a little bit disturbing and concerning for a player who's 24, 25 now. This isn't the Phil Foden that's come through at 17 anymore. So Foden, for me, I think needs to up his game. And if I'm honest with you, it feels weird for me as an Arsenal fan to say that, because there's a lot of Arsenal players that need to up their game. But I'm going to remain consistent. I've called out Arsenal players. Let me call out Phil Foden and say that he needs to show more in an England shirt. If he's the star and if he wants to start, he needs to prove that he can. Because I tell you this, if everybody's fit right now, he doesn't get into my England 11. Because Jordan Pickford's the keeper. We know at right back it's going to be Trent if he's fit. We know it's probably going to be a toss-up between Miles Lewis-Skelly and Lewis Hall, the way things are going at left back. More on him in a minute. I think Mark Guehi and Jared Branthwaite will probably challenge Tron Stones to a position at the starting centre-back pairing. And then we all know it's probably going to be Rice alongside what I would pick, which would be Jude Bellingham and Cole Palmer. And then Saka and Anthony Gordon either side of Harry Kane. And then you can bring on the likes of Foden and all the other names that are behind that, right? Let's move to Miles Lewis-Skelly. What a ball from Jude Bellingham, but what a great finish and what great run from him. I just think this kid is fearless, mate. He's got intent to go forward. The confidence levels is scary, but he's grounded. He's not arrogant. He's humble. He keeps his feet on the ground. And people think that the shithousery is actually an arrogance. I don't think it is an arrogance. When you listen to him in interviews, when you look at his upbringing and his background, he doesn't look arrogant at all. He doesn't look like he loves himself. He doesn't go around the flash cars and start hanging around with people sort of telling them who they are and stuff. He's had a little bit of a laugh with Haaland in terms of his stay humble stuff and his celebration. That doesn't mean he's an arrogant prick that everyone seems to be hating. I don't understand some of the abuse that he's got, but do you know what? The best way to shut them all up was to put in a performance like that, pick up player in a match and score the goal. That's what you do. So for me, Miles, love him. Absolutely love the guy. So I actually think what has surprised me and maybe shocked me to a certain degree even more is that he's hit the England squad before Ethan has. Now, I understand it's a different position and potentially left back isn't even his position. He's a left box-to-box midfielder with athleticism if you look at his younger days. But he's settled into that role fantastically well. And at the moment, we don't really have any left backs for England. We've got Lewis Hall, who's coming through, who looks pretty good. But other than that, you go back down to Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell and you think, yuck. Tariq Mitchell's the other name you might look at. I know Dan Burns played there a few times for Newcastle, but really is a centre-back. Levi Colwell's played there, but really he's a centre-back. So I look at it now and I think, yeah, Miles Lewis-Skelly deserves right now to be playing. Now, I'm quite surprised that he got in ahead of Ethan because I do think Ethan has got the most talent, but I think we have to be realistic and just praise what he's done. He's had the opportunity. He's got to a stage where, yeah, left back's a position that I can play for club and country. Right now, there's an opportunity, and I'm going to grab it, and he's taken it. So fair play to Miles because I think he's a baller, and I think he's going to be top quality. I really do. I love his composure. I love how calm and composed and confident he is. I think he really is cool as a cucumber on the ball when he's moving forward with it, driving forward with it. He has confidence. And Declan Rice was like a proud big brother standing alongside him, telling everybody this kid's fearless. He's going to go to the very top. Now, I don't want to start comparing him to the likes of Ashley Cole, but the reason I'm going to mention Ashley Cole and him in the same bracket right now is because I can only go back to when I saw Ashley Cole at Highbury when he first came onto the scene. And let me tell you, it was at an age much, much, much older than Miles Lewis-Skelly. He was 21, I believe, Ashley Cole. This kid was doing it at 17, 18. In fact, these two kids, Ethan and Miles, were doing it before the age of Bukayo Saka was. Now, people start to get over the top and carried away. Let them. That's fine. Some people will. We've all done it. I did it with other players that never made it. Yeah. I thought, wow, I've seen this Dan Crowley lad, just like we're seeing Max Dowman now. And he never went on to be anything. J. Emmanuel Thomas never went on to be anything. Quincy Owusu-Abe, Arturo Lupoli, Jeremy Aliadier, Jeff Rene Adelaide. All these guys we were told were going to be top quality. They never went on to do it. So it doesn't mean that because he right now is doing it, he's going to go and be an Ashley Cole. But you know what? He doesn't have to be an Ashley Cole. Yeah. Be amazing if he is. Hell, it'll be amazing even if he's half the player of Ashley Cole, yeah? But Miles right now, fair play. Like, fair play, bro. What you're doing is sensational. So I have to say, impressive. Very impressive, for sure. So that's where we're at. Look, I'm in a position right now where I can be confident and quite comfortable in saying that Miles Lewis-Skelly will make it for club and country. And right now, he might have already done that. So fair play to him, man. Deserves all the plaudits that he gets. Deserves absolutely all the plaudits that he gets. So that's where I'm at. Let's move to Arsenal. Big up to everyone in the chat. There's well over 230 of you in here now. So please make sure that you hit the like button, hit subscribe. Make sure that you are part of the community at 12th Man. And big up to everybody that's in the chat. I agree with Soph. Big up to you, Soph. I hope you're well. It says Lewis Hall and Lewis-Skelly will fight it out for left back for England for the next 10 years. Look, I think both of them have been amazing. I was quite stunned that Chelsea wanted to get rid of Lewis Hall, to be honest. I think he's been phenomenal. I think him and Livramento for Newcastle have been well underrated as fullbacks. I think they've been phenomenal. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. But big up to you, Sophie. I hope you're well. And everyone else in the chat as well. Let's talk about Andrea Berta, shall we? Because Berta's got to a stage now where looks like it's going to be pretty much appointed within the upcoming weeks or days or whatever you want to call it. So for me, I'm excited. And the reason I'm excited is because this is the best appointment Arsenal could have made out of all of the names. And the experience he's bringing to the club is something that we haven't had for quite some time. When it's coming from Fabrizio Romano, it fills you with a little bit more of a reliable source. I think people are kind of confident or reassured that he is probably one of the best out there, whether you're a fan of journalists or not. But he says that Andrea Berta will start his new chapter as Arsenal director in the upcoming weeks as the plan is confirmed. The contract has been sealed as reported, and the new director has already spoken with Arteta about his future plans. So that's where we're going to start. Andrea Berta looks like he's coming to the Arsenal, right? That's the main thing for me. That's what I'm really excited about. The reason I'm excited about it is because of his experience with Diego Simeone, his wealth of knowledge in terms of bringing players in, but also on top of that, players that he's sold and players that he's got money for. That's where I'm at. Yeah. I would be really frustrated if we were bringing in a Thomas Rosicky or Per Mertesacker was given the role and Jason Ato was given it because they're impressed by him. Out of all of the people on the list, I didn't want Jason Ato. I didn't want Dan Ashworth. I wasn't really too set on either Scuro or Roberto Alabi, but I would have taken them ahead of the likes of Thomas Rosicky. However, when I look at what happens and has happened with Andrea Berta, I just said, yeah, for me, let's be real. I want him and I've got him, hopefully now. So that really does fill me with confidence for this summer. Because as much as I don't have the confidence in the summer window will be complete and it will be outstanding, I have more confidence it will be better with Berta than without him. What he's done with Diego Simeone is unbelievable. If you look at the experience and the CV and what they've achieved together in the game, not just in terms of trophies, but in terms of that role specifically, even if Atletico Madrid wouldn't have actually won stuff or wouldn't have actually been as competitive as they had, I'd still say that the actual players that they brought in were really impressive. Shrewd business with David Villa and Luis Suarez from Barcelona. Superb scouting and recruitment for Rodri, for Mateus Cunha, for Diogo Jota. These names that, let's be real, we're all talking about potentially signing now. I've already been at a couple of clubs before we're even talking about them. So Berta is a massive part of that. So for me, I'm a massive fan of what he might bring into Arsenal this summer. Where I have concerns, I have anxiety about the relationship with Arteta. And I also believe that the most important person at the club right now should be Berta. And the person to make that decision needs to be Josh Kroenke. Josh Kroenke needs to allow Berta to be the decision maker. He needs to allow Berta to have the most important voice. And he needs to stay well clear from Mikel Arteta's previous recruitment plans because they haven't all worked out. They haven't come to fruition. Some people like to think that what Arteta has brought to Arsenal is a genius 11. Well, we're still halfway through that 11 looking at gaps. And yes, I can look at the signing of Gabriel and Timber and think it's superb. I'm a fan of Ødegaard and Ben White. I think Thomas Partey's been great for Arsenal. But then I start to dry up and I'm thinking, oh, hang on a minute. Am I really a fan of some of the other signings? Is Kai Havertz a really good bit of business? Is Jesus a great striker option? Is Zinchenko and Calafiori what Arsenal needed? Is Marino and Sterling and Willian back in the day what we needed back then? Are we happy still with the amount of left backs that we've got when Miles Lewis-Skelly's waltzed into the team and it's better than all of them? So there's definite question marks and queries over what Arteta has done. I mean, the 31 players, there's probably 7 or 8 that he's got right. Other than that, I think there's been more misses than hits, if I'm honest with you. I've got to be brutally honest. So that's where I'm at. Yeah. And I feel like he needs to have the most important voice now. And if Mikel Arteta has said to Andrea Berta, my summer targets are, he needs to go, shh, that's my job now. I sort that out. I select the players and you together come to me and say you can absolutely work with them. Because these are the gems you're going to be bringing into this side. Because people think that Berta's going to come in and sign an Isak, or he's going to come in and he's going to go and say to Florian Wirtz, you're on the way here. He might not do that. But you know what he might do? He might go and find the next Florian Wirtz. He might go and find the next Alexander Isak. And I'm calm with that as well, by the way. Yeah? Don't get me wrong, I'll probably rant and rave if we don't get an striker in the ilk of Isak. But if he's going to turn into somebody that could be better than him, I ain't going to complain. And I've got faith that Berta can do that over Mikel Arteta, right? So if he goes and finds another Diogo Jota or another Mateus Cunha, or he goes and finds somebody in the ilk of Rodri, we're all going to sit there and go, oh, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with Berta and the relationship that he needs to now have. And this is why Josh Kroenke is under an immense amount of pressure for me. And not pressure as in the fans will get him out, because the fans will want him out as much as they want, and we're going to struggle to do that. But there needs to be pressure put at that level to get this right. This striker needs to be absolutely spot on. We cannot get this wrong for the third time. We got it wrong with Jesus. We got it wrong with Kai Havertz. We cannot get it wrong again. In fact, I'll go one further. We got it wrong with Aubameyang. We got it wrong with Lacazette. We got it wrong with Eddie. All of these players that we've either kept hold of, let go, nothing's gone right up there in that position. Yeah? We gave Eddie the number 14 shirt and 100k a week. Why? It was a poor decision. Aubameyang was gone. Fine. No problem with that. Who's replacing him, Mikel? Because you still haven't. Lacazette, he was a flop. 50 million this, 50 million that. Well, we've bought another 50 million pound player who's a flop in Jesus, because he's had 3 months at Arsenal that were decent. The rest of the other years have been awful. And then, of course, you go for Kai Havertz at 65 million and put him on 290 a week. Come on, man. It's been poor in that position. Yeah? So I'm in a position now where I'm thinking this number 9 position, I want this taken off of the hands of Mikel Arteta and delivered to the likes of Berta and say, do you know what? Boom. This is what I want to be seeing. You're the guy I want to be providing the responsibility to. And then, do you know what? If we have a bad summer, we know it ain't Berta. because Berta's gone and done what he's done at Atletico Madrid. We know it's a Kroenke problem, right? So I think it will this summer show who should we be pointing the fingers towards. A lot of people pointed it towards Edu. That's scrapped now because it was shit without Edu. Yeah. So you can't say it was all Edu. Look at the state of January. Well, he wasn't here in January, right? So it weren't Edu. Yeah. Those that believe it's Arteta in the summer with Berta here, we'll find out if it was or not. Because if it starts going well, we know it was an Arteta problem, and now Berta's come in, and now that everything's going well. If nothing happens at all, we know it's a Kroenke problem, and the funds aren't being delivered. That's what we're going to find out. We're going to find out big time what's going on there. So that could be very, very interesting, to be fair. So Berta is the guy, right? And we want to have a little bit of an understanding of where we're at with that. Okay. What does it mean for his potentials? Because there's quite a lot of people suggesting names, and Berta will be definitely looking, and there's no doubt about that. What's kind of surprising though is some of the names that have been linked are not names that I would necessarily have put in an Arsenal shirt. So we all know we've been linked with Nico Williams, who had a very good game tonight. We all know we've been linked with Zubamendi. We all know we've been linked with Sesko. We all know we've been linked with Juan Garcia in goal. I actually do believe they're the 4 signings that we probably will end up getting. And what I think might happen is that Berta will okay those and then potentially look to go and get a couple of gems on top of that. That's what I can see happening. What I want to see happen is I want it screwed up, scrunched up, threw away, and Berta goes, nah, forget the Seskos, forget the Zubamendis, forget the Nico Williams. I got you. And he goes and puts together a list of claims that come in and you think, wow, okay, fair play. This is working. Yeah, this is working. So where I'm at is we need to appoint him ASAP. We need to bring him in because there's other clubs that are looking at him. And I don't want him to do a U-turn last minute and go to, as Sophie's saying in the chat, an AC Milan or somewhere else that's looking at him. Let's get him in. And then we can start to get excited, in my opinion. Right? So, of course, we need to appoint him first. But if the rumours are believed to be true, it looks like he's coming to the Arsenal. And it looks like he's going to have a number of players on his wish list. Now, one of those players, as mentioned in the title, is not Alexander Isak from Newcastle, but it is a Newcastle player, and it is Bruno Guimaraes. Now, there's a lot of talk and suggestion around Bruno, and there's a lot of people saying that Berta has identified him as someone that he absolutely loves. Now, we all know that we can absolutely love a player, yeah? I absolutely love Margot Robbie, but she ain't going to be my missus. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? So you can absolutely love Bruno Guimaraes as much as you want. And you can love Alexander Isak as much as you want. But I don't know that we're getting either of these. Because I think they're both staying at Newcastle. That's just my opinion. Some people say I'm crazy for thinking that. Some people think I just have a love affair with Newcastle. I get that quite a lot. Look, I like Newcastle. Nothing wrong with saying that. They've never been rivals to Arsenal. They've never hated on us. They hate on us now all of a sudden because apparently we appreciate Isak. Now all of a sudden Newcastle fans hate all of us. What, by saying their player's good? Crikey, that's a compliment. Trust me. Get used to it, Newcastle fans, yeah? Because if you want to come and play with the big boys, everyone's going to want your players. That's what they've been doing with us for ages, yeah? That's why Van Persie and Fabregas and Sanchez and all that, yeah, started to happen. So get used to it because, trust me, it ain't a good thing. It ain't a good feeling when people want your players. Listen, guys, there's 400 of you in here. Make sure you do me a favor. Hit the like button. Yeah. Make sure you smash subscribe, like and subscribe. Let's get the likes up because we haven't got anywhere near enough at the moment. In fact, we've not even hit 100 and there's over 400 of you in here. That should easily be at 250 by now. So let's hit the like button, people, for those that haven't done it, and hit subscribe if you're new and get us towards 40k. Okay, let's read what Romano is saying because Romano's kind of playing down this. He is saying that we're having many reports on Bruno Guimaraes, reports about Arsenal and other clubs that are interested. What I am able to tell you today is that despite all of the stories, I'm not aware of any concrete negotiations or contact between Arsenal or Bruno Guimaraes. He was on the list when the director was Edu. They're Brazilian, so the connection is there. Now the new director is Andrea Berta, and at the moment, I'm not aware of any direct contact. Well, it's definitely true about the latter because he's not been our appointed yet. So Andrea Berta would definitely not have spoken to Bruno about a move to Arsenal if he's not even been appointed as the Arsenal sporting director, right? And the Edu and Bruno links are absolutely true, but that was before Bruno even went to Newcastle. If you can remember back to the COVID days, we actually were massively, massively linked to him, massively when he was at Lyon. And he was a player that I really wanted. And I remember saying, I want Bruno Guimaraes because I believe that he's going to be able to be that guy to play 6 and an 8, potentially box to box. But his interceptions are sensational. Off the ball, sensational. I think in the stats, if you're a stats person, which I'm not really, but stats-wise, if you do like stats, he's been one of the best in terms of midfield stats across the top 5 leagues in Europe. That's how good Bruno Guimaraes has been. I'm a huge fan of him. I thought he was outstanding in the Carabao Cup final. I think he's been brilliant against us home and away. And in fact, they've beat us quite comfortably 3 times this season, Newcastle. And he hasn't played in all 3 of them. But when he has, you can tell he's there. He's an absolute menace. And I truly believe that him, Tonali, and Joe Linton is probably the 3 most balanced and best in the league. I know they haven't really got a creator, but the work rate, the balance, the athleticism, the interceptions, the passing range, the physicality, they've got everything in that midfield. Everything. So that's where I'm at with Bruno G. I'd love him. In fact, he'd be my number 1 target in midfield. If you said to me you could have anybody right now, realistically, that isn't a Barella or a Pedri or a Valverde, I'd take Bruno G. Now, some might think that's more unrealistic than those names. Maybe it's as really unrealistic as those names. But if we have been seriously linked with him, what a signing he would be. Now, I don't know if there's rumours of a release clause. I believe they're not true. A lot of the Newcastle fans I speak to say it's bullshit and there's not a release clause. But some are saying that if he doesn't get Champions League football, then he'll go. And they've actually got a release clause of around 70 million or something that would suggest that he could leave the club. Now, I don't think that's true. From what I'm hearing, it's not true. And I don't think that it will leave even without the release clause anyway. I think Newcastle are going to get top 5, which means they're going to get Champions League. It's 99.9% certain that 5th place gets Champions League this year in the league. So personally, I feel like there's an opportunity to look at Isak and Bruno G, but I truly believe both of them will stay at Newcastle for at least another season. But that's just my opinion. Some people don't believe that. Some people think they could go because it's Newcastle and we could go and get an opportunity to get them both. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Newcastle fans are sick and tired of their players being linked with a move away. And I appreciate that and I respect that. I'd be exactly the same if people were looking at Saliba like Madrid are and people are looking at Saka, or if people were looking at Gabriel like the Saudi links suggest. That annoys everybody, right? Because no one wants to lose their best players. And without a doubt, Bruno Guimaraes and Isak are the best players. But what I will say about Bruno, Pete's a big, massive part of this channel. And he said he worries about Bruno more than Isak. Because Bruno has made it clear at 27 that he wants to win Champions Leagues and be playing at the top elite level. Well, to do that, you've got to look at the club you're at. Are Newcastle going to be going for a title and a Champions League win next season? You can't guarantee that. You can't. Maybe. Hopefully they will. It'd be great to see. I love clubs like that to come from nowhere and start to build. But if I'm honest with you, I don't see it happening. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Bruno at the moment is a player that a lot of us admire. I just don't know that I can see Arsenal realistically going and getting him. And how much is it really going to cost? If there's not a release clause, which people are saying there's not, let's just be real. I just don't think that there's going to be an opportunity there now to go for that. I mean, we're talking potentially 80 or 90 million. I would have thought. That's where I'm at. So it's going to be interesting to see. That's for sure. And I really like Bruno. I do as a player. And what I like about Bruno is not just, he doesn't just have one position. He looks good in the 6. He looks good in the 8. He looks good, if I'm honest, everywhere he plays in the midfield. So yeah, I am a big fan. And I think it will be unbelievable business if Arsenal were to do it. I'm just not too sure, if I'm honest. I'm not too sure I can see it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. for sure. Let's see where he goes. If he stays at Newcastle, which I expect, fair play. Fair play. You know, they're saying there's no concrete talks with Arsenal. And yeah, it doesn't look like it's something that's going to potentially happen right now. So we'll see. We shall see. Okay, let's take this super chat from Chaitanya before we go any further. Here we go. Need two types of players across 6 signings, having Premier League proven and European quality. Suj also says, big up Dan. If Berta can clear out Jesus and Kai's contract, that alone is a genius move. That's 29 million a year in wages. Give me either Tonali or Bruno. Yeah. Wow. Let's take them both. Tonali or Bruno. Look, they're both unbelievable. They're definitely not both leaving. They're definitely not both coming to Arsenal. But a lot of people would actually say right now, Newcastle have probably got 4 players that walk into Arsenal's first team. Tonali, Bruno, Anthony Gordon, and Isak. I think all 4 of them walk into it. Some would argue over a Lewis Hall or a Livramento or Joe Linton, or some of the others can be debatable if you want. But there's no way those 4 don't walk into Arsenal, in my opinion. Chaitanya also said the 2 types of players across 6 signings having Premier League proven and European quality, I agree with, because what you need is the actual ability to walk into that team and go, right, I'm ready now. None of this give me 4 or 5 years. Ready now. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. And there's players in the Premier League that we can be looked at as realistic. Yeah. Forget the Newcastle players. Newcastle fans will love me for this. Forget them for a second. Right? Forget it. Brian Mbeumo at Brentford. Mateus Cunha at Wolves. João Pedro. Mitoma. Baleba. All at Brighton. Yeah. Semenyo. Kirkes at Bournemouth. Kudus at West Ham. Adam Wharton. Eze at Palace. There's enough quality in the Premier League. We can go to any of those teams and we should be able to go and get them. That's where I'm at. They're the ones that I'm looking at now thinking, yeah, fair play. I totally get that. Like, I totally get why we could be looking at those as opportunities, because they're Premier League proven. Yeah. They're Premier League proven. That's what we want to be seeing. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at anyway. So we see where we go from there. Let's take a look next. There was something else that I wanted to talk about Berta on, but I've missed the post now. Where was it? There was something that I saw here. Excuse me. Oh yeah, it was on Berta's potential list of players that he is after. Bruno was one. And then there's obviously reports here today suggesting that it isn't just Bruno Guimaraes that we're after. And these are the next 2 names that are potentially on the list of Andrea Berta. Early indications show that Berta's intent on signing both Mateus Cunha and Martin Zubimendi, 2 players who have been linked massively with Arsenal in the last few weeks to months. Now, David Ornstein and, to be fair, Sammy Mockbell have both suggested that Martin Zubimendi is going to be an Arsenal player in June of this year. I don't know how. I don't know if it's been agreed when a window's not been open, but there's clearly a lot of tapping up going there. I like him. Martin Zubimendi, I like him. But he's a 6. And I see Rice as our 6. Partey's still here. We got to look at what we do with Jorginho and Partey. I think potentially at the moment it looks like both of them could be going, which means that Zubimendi and Rice would be the 2 6s, and then you'd have Marino and potentially one more 8 that would need to come in. In my opinion, it should be a Morgan Rogers or a Reinders or somebody like that, but that's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. But Zubimendi coming in, we could play a double pivot with Zubimendi and Rice and then Ødegaard ahead of them. Or what we could do, which I think we probably will do, is Arteta will have his 6, 8 and 10. And the 6 will be Zubimendi, the Rice will be the 8, and then Martin Ødegaard will be the 10. And I've got to be really brutally honest with you, Gooners. I'm not sure that's balanced, because I don't really like Ødegaard in the 10 and I don't really like Rice in the 8. Which means we've got one player, right, in Zubimendi. But let's be real. I need to see it working more with Rice in the 8. Spain, Netherlands tonight. Big up. What an unbelievable game that was. Sorry, Soph. It's just you reminded me. I watched the whole thing and it was unbelievable game. Went to penalties. Spain won. Lamine Yamal missed the penalty, as did someone else. I can't remember who it was now. Noah Lang missed. And they went through. And look, Spain still look really good, in my opinion. But Zubamendi looks really good, man. Zubamendi looks really good. And I'm a fan. He's not going to start for Spain in every game because of Rodri, but he's a player that I like. And if I'm honest with you, I think it's a player that we should be getting in. For 50 to 55 million release clause, it's a good bit of business. Obviously, Liverpool and Manchester City were linked with him, so it's good to see that those are the sort of clubs of that caliber that also want this player. And I think we need to sort our midfield out. Let's move to Mateus Cunha. Mateus Cunha is a player that Berta knows really well. He bought him in for Atletico Madrid before he was even a Wolves player. And the thing I like about Cunha is he can play in a number of positions. I like him as a 10. I don't know that I like him as a 9. I'm not sure that I like him as a left winger. I'm not sure he can play in the left 8, but maybe he can prove me wrong. But certainly in the 10, I'd be bringing him in. I think he'd be phenomenal for Arsenal. He's Premier League proven. He's a fair price, I think, at around about 50 to 60 million. It's not like it's going to break the bank. The only question mark I would have is how can Arteta handle him? Can Arteta handle a Mateus Cunha? Because I've seen Mateus Cunha kicking off. I've seen him going mad. I've seen him grabbing glasses off of Ipswich Town's coaching staff member. He needs to calm down and keep his head, because in the FA Cup games and in some of the Premier League games, he's lost his mind completely. And I appreciate that at Wolves it can get quite tough because he's not winning around him every week and he's got players that aren't quite the quality that he wants. But he's got to keep his head. He really has. I think there's a number of positions we can play him. Left wing he can play, but I'm not sure he's great there. Left 8, I'm not sure, question mark. False 9 and 10, I've got more confidence in him because he's played it for Wolves and he's scored. And what I like about him is he's got a little bit of technical ability about him. He's got a little bit of X factor. He's got a little bit of spark about him and drive about him. Yeah, he can hit one from 30 yards. He can tap him in. He can get on the end of things. Big fan of Cunha. I will say I don't think he's as clinical as some people believe. I think he's definitely wasteful, but I'm a big fan. I like him a lot. So it wouldn't be a player I look at and go, roll my eyes. So that's where I'm at with Cunha. I think it would be a really, really good bit of business. And I think Erdegaard playing on the left 8 and Cunha playing in the 10 would probably make a hell of a lot more sense for me moving forward. But whether Mikel Arteta sees that or not, I don't know. I have Martin Erdegaard down as more of an attacking 8. He's more of a Bernardo Silva than a Kevin De Bruyne, in my opinion. That's what I think anyway. Big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to the super chatters as well. Both Suj and Chaitanya. Absolute legends. Really appreciate both of you and everyone in the chat. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, people, because we're going to be here for a bit longer. Talking about what we believe to be Andrea Berta's wish list. Now, I don't know for certain, but you just go by rumors, how true some of this stuff is. But we need a striker, and that is for certain. Now, everybody shouts Isak, everybody shouts Gyökeres, everybody starts shouting what they would like, this, that, and the third. I'll say this. I really, really want this striker to be the correct striker. I don't want to be seeing any news of, oh my God, Arsenal are looking at getting Evan Ferguson from Brighton, all this kind of rubbish. I don't want any of that happening, personally. I want to be seeing it proper. So a lot of people will look at Isak as being the number one. He's, of course, my number one. I don't think it's realistic. Sesko's the one I think we will get. But after Isak, it would be Gyökeres, Harry Kane, or Osimhen. Yes, I did say Harry Kane. £54 million release clause. There's rumours that he could be coming back to the Premier League. I think Benjamin Sesko is the guy Mikel Arteta wants. But this is coming back into what Andrea Berta wants. Does he agree with that? Is he going to okay that? Is that something they're going to do together? I think he's the guy we're going to get. I think he's a good player. I don't think he takes us across the line, though. I'm not sure that he's a massive upgrade on Kai Havertz. But there we go. That's where I'm at. But look, let's take a look at someone that Andrea Berta wants, because it's not any of those names. Berta, apparently, has highlighted and indicated that he would be interested Lautaro Martinez. Now, I don't know what people's thoughts are about Martinez. I think he's a good player. I think he's done well. But I've seen him for Argentina be very, very wasteful. And I actually think he was better a few seasons ago. I'm not too sure about him now. I don't think he's very old at the moment, actually, Lautaro. I don't know how old he is, actually. Let me just quickly check. He is 27 years old. So he's not a player that's getting any younger. He's also not a player that's too old to get in. He's probably at his best now. Berta apparently has indicated that he would be someone that he'd be keen on getting to the Arsenal. Now, apparently, from Football Insider, incoming sporting director Berta will push Arsenal to sign Lautaro Martinez this summer, having had a long-standing interest in the striker when he was on at Atletico. So when he was at Atletico Madrid, he was someone that he looked at and thought, yep, I'd love to bring him into the club. And now he's looking at that position at Arsenal being massive, massive gap and thinking he could be the guy. Now, I think that Sesko coming in would be fine. However, I need someone on top of Sesko. If you want to bring in Sesko for his release clause at 60 million or whatever the hell it is, but you bring in somebody alongside him, that's fine. I don't want Sesko as the number 9 for Arsenal next season. That doesn't fill me with any excitement. And I don't think it does for many of the Arsenal setup. We need to be going for Isak. If it's not Isak, it needs to be Gyökeres. If it's not Gyökeres, it needs to be Kane. If it's not Kane, it needs to be Osimhen. And if you can't get them, then you're going to have to look at a Lautaro Martinez or maybe a Sesko or somebody like that. But really, let's not go for those guys first, is what I'm saying. Now, Martinez, I'm not too sure about his stats. In fact, I'm going to have a look at them if I'm honest with you, because he's a player that I've always thought has done pretty well at Inter Milan. He's won everything there, right? At Inter Milan, he's actually scored over 20 goals, 3 out of the last 4 seasons. So let me share this, by the way, so you guys can see it as well. I don't know how well you can see this on the screen when I share stuff, but hopefully you can. Let me share Martinez stats with you guys. Right. So here we are. I don't know how well you can see this, guys, but let me know that if you can. His stats are as follows. Let's go back to 18-19 when he was a young kid. He scored 6 goals. Then he got himself around the COVID season into the first team at Inter Milan, and he got 14 goals. The following season, he got 17 goals. And then 21-22 and 22-23, he scored over 20. Last season, he got 24 goals in 33 games. And this season, he's got 11 goals in 27 games. So this guy scores goals, and he scores them at a top level, by the way. If you're doing it in Serie A, you're not doing it in a farmers league like people say that you do in certain other leagues, right? I think he would be a good signing, but he wouldn't be the guy that I look at as the number 1. That's for sure. But I'm a big fan, and I like him, and always have, to be fair. He's got that kind of mentality, hasn't he? Which I like. So that's kind of where I'm at on Lautaro Martinez. A player that I respect, a player that, has done pretty much everything at Inter Milan, and is playing under a top manager in Simone Inzaghi. A manager I'd like at Arsenal. But we won't go there. But if we don't get Isak, which Sophie in the chat will love if we don't, I think we should go for this guy. And we are being linked with him, and we have been linked with him loosely for quite some time. This is the one that I think Arsenal should do all they can to get, with £84 million release clause. Apparently, Arsenal are plotting a decisive raid on Sporting for Victor Gyökeres this summer. They've requested a formal meeting with his agent, who is Hassan Setinkaya. We'll go with that. He's said to be a friend of Mikel Arteta. Now, if Arteta really does know Hassan, we'll call him Hassan, then absolutely he needs to get this done. This would be a brilliant signing. And it's one that I think Berta would absolutely be interested in, because one thing you will say is Berta is a massive fan of players that are on fire right now. Yes, he finds gems, but he's gone for players that are already made for Atletico Madrid. And we know that when he signed Julian Alvarez. We know that when he signed Antoine Griezmann. We know that when he signed Luis Suarez. We know that when he signed David Villa. In fact, we know that when he signed Morata and Fernando Torres too. They were all doing it. It wasn't like, that's a risk because they're not really doing it for a while. They've all been scoring goals previously at clubs. So I look at Victor Gyökeres now, and I just don't know how people can't be convinced by him yet. He's got everything in his locker. He's got hold-up play. He's got link-up play. He's a target man. He can flick it on. He can use both feet. He can score all types of goals, whether they're from outside the box, whether they're inside the box, whether it's headers, whether it's flick-ons. He is the guy. And what I love about him is his ball-carrying abilities. His attributes are actually very good outside the box as well as in them. Now, when we played Sporting Lisbon, everybody said he wasn't too impressed by him. I actually was, because as much as they didn't get a kick pretty much the majority of the game, he spun Saliba and he hit the post, and that was all he had. He was feeding off of scraps. There was no play in midfield. There was no creativity for him, but he made something out of nothing. And that's what I like about Victor Gyökeres. Some people believe that Victor Gyökeres would actually suit Arsenal more than Alexander Isak, because we don't have to change the current system or plan if we brought Gyökeres in. Now, I'm a little bit unsure about that statement, personally, from some, but I can understand what people mean. Alexander Isak, I'm not sure right now. We play into his strengths. We don't really pass the ball onto our striker to run onto. It's normally feeding it into their chest, i.e. Marino or Havertz this season. So I understand what people mean, but Victor Gyökeres, for me, I think would be unbelievable. Now, big up to Jay in the chat, because he said he's not the profile, Dan, with a load of laughing faces. And I keep asking this question, what is the profile we're looking for then? Because Mikel Arteta for a while now has been suggested of looking for the right profile. Well, he's had 5 years to look at a profile. He didn't like Aubameyang's profile or Lacazette's profile. He's got Jesus in. He's got Havertz in. They're two very different profiles. He liked Eddie, very different profile. So what the hell is the profile he's looking for? Is it a Thierry Henry, Luis Suarez type that can get on the ball and drive past players? Is it an Olivier Giroud type who's a target man? Or is it someone who's more of a false nine like a Gabriel Jesus? Well, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what he wants. And that's why it's been difficult for me when people say, do you think it's Kroenke not providing funds for a striker, or Mikel Arteta who doesn't want one? It's hard for me to say that Mikel Arteta doesn't want one, because he hasn't bought one in 5 years. Jesus and Kai Havertz are not strikers, are they? They're good footballers that can play off of a striker, but they're not the absolute prolific one. They're not the go-to, the proper pivotal focal point and the number 9 that's going to get you 25, 30 goals a season. They don't do that. They never have. Not for Chelsea and City. Why were they going to do it at Arsenal? So I think what he wants is somebody that can have more of a Sesko type striker, or Gyökeres, to be fair, that can then allow to bring in Sakas and Martinellis and Ødegaards into this game. That's what I think he wants next season. So we could look at goals by committee as well as the focal point. Now, Gyökeres, I think, would guarantee Arsenal 20 goals in all competitions at the bare minimum if we just assign him. And for 84 million, that's absolutely worth it. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Big up to everyone that's here. How many likes we got? There's over 500 of you in here now. There's only 152 likes. That's terrible. Come on, people. Let's get it up to 300 likes. Come on. There's 500 of you in here. Just hit the like button. That's all you need to do. Big up to you. Look, there's a real opportunity for us to look at doing this business for Gyökeres. There's an opportunity. I don't think that it's an absolute given, if I'm honest, that he's going to be leaving. But I would say it's highly likely that he's probably going to leave Sporting Lisbon. And Arsenal need to be in one of those. So that's where I'm at right now. Get some questions in, guys. We're going to come to a little bit of a close here. Get some questions in. Sophie says, Gyökeres, Williams, Zubamendi, and the Spanish keeper. Would you be happy with that window? Yeah, I would, to be fair. I actually would. Because you got your backup goalkeeper. You're still probably not, maybe one short, too short. Zubamendi comes in midfield. I'd like to see another midfielder added into that. So if we're bringing in Morgan Rogers or Reinders on top of that, I think that would be a brilliant window. Or Cunha. Obviously, Williams, I think he's a good player. I don't know what people's thoughts are, but I think he's a good player. And Gyökeres, other than Isak's my number 1. So I look at it right now. Yeah, so that would be an unbelievable window. Unbelievable window. Yeah, I'd take that. Yeah, I really would. So that's where I'm at. Where else is there? Paul says, do you think Zubamendi and Rice can work together? They're both number 6s. Yeah, I have a massive problem with it, if I'm honest with you, bro. I don't know that we can play these two in the 6 and the 8. I think we have to play them both in a double pivot. Because I'm in the position now where I feel like if Rice was in the 8 for the whole of the season, I just don't know that he's that guy. I don't think he's a Gerrard, man. I just don't. I really don't. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. What else have we got here? Apparently, Gyökeres's release clause has gone down from 84 to 63. I mean, that's an absolute given. Osimhen's is definitely 63. That's for sure. So yeah, let's see. Let's see what we go for. Matthew says Gyökeres or Osimhen. Rice is the 6. Bruno is the 8. Erdegaard as the 10. And Nico Williams left. I don't think we're going to get Bruno, if I'm honest, but I'd absolutely love him. I really would. I really would. What else have we got here? There's a few questions. Thoughts on Gibbs White? Big fan. Big fan. I'd probably rather Cunha, but Gibbs White would be a really good signing as well. Stofel says, Dan, do you think we need cover for Raya? Yeah, because Neto is going to go. Let's be real, we're going to lose a few players. We're going to lose a few through natural wastage. Yeah. In fact, we're probably going to lose about 12 players. I went through it with Sophie on the hybrid squad the other night. We're going to lose Neto. We're going to lose Tavares, Tierney, Zinchenko, Kivior, Lokonga, Partey, Jorginho, Fabio Vieira, Reece Nelson. And we're probably Marquinhos is number 11. We're going to lose. And we're probably going to lose Trossard, I would say. That's 12 players that we're potentially going to lose. Now, some of those are natural wastage and weren't going to play this season or next season anyway. But we actually do need to look at probably bringing in 6-7 players. 6-7 players. Now, that 12 players we get rid of ain't going to get as much money. Yeah, some of them are going to be free transfers. Yeah, the wages comes down. I get that. Wage bill comes down. But let's just be real. We ain't getting no money for Partey, Jorginho or Tierney. We're not going to get much money, or Neto and Sterling are going to go. So Sterling's another one. So that's 13 players now that are going to leave, right? Those two are gone. We're going to probably get 20 million tops for Kivior. We're probably going to get 20 million tops for Zinchenko. We're probably going to get 20 million tops for Fabi Vieira. We ain't going to get more than 8 million for Tavares. We ain't going to get more than 8 million for Lokonga. We ain't going to get more than a couple of million for Marquinhos. Reece Nelson's probably going to get us 10 million plus, 15 million plus tops. Yeah. We're talking about 100 million people. Yeah. We're probably talking about 100 million that we're going to have to spend. And people will say, go spend that on Isak. That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. That 100 million will probably get us a replacement for Kivior, a backup goalkeeper, and maybe another midfield player. That's what that will do. Yeah. And then we'll spend the majority of our money on the forward line. That's what we need to be doing. Yeah. So there's quite a lot of people. What about Rafinha from Barcelona? That's not going to happen. Rafinha and Lamine Yamal are actually the reason as to why I don't think Nico Williams will go to Barcelona. And that's probably got more chance of coming to Arsenal than Barcelona now, because they're actually, looking at keeping those two. There are other wingers. Ademola Lookman is one I like. Mitoma is one I like from Brighton. Semenyo is one I like from Bournemouth. Alongside Cunha. Other strikers I like in the Premier League. João Pedro is one of them that I like. Alexander Isak's obviously the number one. But that'll probably be about it. I'm not really a Chris Wood or a Liam Delap sort of person. I think they'll be good for other clubs, but what Arsenal need right now, it ain't for me. So they're the sort of players that I think Arsenal should be linked with on the wide areas. I don't want Rashford. I don't want Asensio. All this kind of stuff. It ain't for me. It ain't for me. Adam Wharton would be a really good signing, by the way. Adam Wharton would be an unbelievable signing for Arsenal. I actually prefer to have Adam Wharton than I would Zubimendi, by the way. Real talk. I think Adam Wharton looks like unbelievably good for Palace. Like what I'm seeing for the form table with Wharton, wow, Palace are second. And Wharton's a massive part of that. He is a phenomenal talent. Absolutely superb. I can't believe they're not looking at him in England more. I think Declan Rice would look at that and think, boy, he's coming through. He's coming through in terms of his England position. Harvey says, Dan, what do you think of Ekatike? I hope I've said that right. Yeah, this is the Frankfurt guy, right, that keeps scoring their goals. Let's look at his record. Have I got that right, or is it someone else I'm thinking of? He's the French guy, isn't he? For Frankfurt. Yeah, there we go. What's his stats then? Because apparently he's doing well. Yeah, he's got 13 goals in 25 games. I think him and Marmoush were the reason that Frankfurt were doing so well. Now, since Marmoush has gone to Manchester City, Frankfurt are still balling it out because of this guy. Obviously, they've got Spurs next in the Europa League, so I hope they beat them. But yeah, I'm a lover of what he's done so far and achieved. There's a few other players that I like at PSG. Kvaratskhelia was the one I wanted. I can't believe we let him go for 63 million. That is criminal. When we bought £65 million Havertz, we weren't going for a 63 million Kvaratskhelia. I actually like Barcola and I like Dembele and I quite like Doué as well at PSG. I think the midfield trio is probably the best in Europe at PSG. Vitinha, how did we let him go? We picked up Fabio Vieira instead of him. How? He was at Porto balling out and now he's doing it at PSG. João Neves as well, or Neves as people call him. He is a baller. Yeah. And Fabian Ruiz, we saw him tonight against Spain, how good he is, how consistent he is, and the balance he brings into his midfield. So that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. It's mad. Do you keep Zinchenko? Rather him in the midfield over Zubimendi? Really? Wow. Look, I don't like Zinchenko personally, massively, but I think on the ball and going forward, he's okay. Defensively, he ain't for me. He just ain't for me. Yeah, not for me whatsoever. Jonathan David's available on a free instead. Do you know what? I would take Jonathan David on a free as a backup striker. I don't want him as the number one. I'd happily take him at 24 years old. He's been killing it for Lille. He was good over at Genk. I think he's a player that can actually do very, very well in the Premier League. I think for Newcastle or West Ham or one of those teams, he could actually be really, really good. Whether he's going to be okay for Arsenal or not, I'm not sure. So, yeah, but he could be good as backup for sure. He's a player I would 100% potentially look at. Look, I'll come to a close and I'll say this. Arsenal's summer could be massive. How many times have we said that? Arsenal's summer could be a war chest. How many times have we heard that? I don't really care what the number is that we're being tipped to spend. Berta's got a massive job on his hands. Berta has got a massive job on his hands. That's all I know. That's all I know. So I want it to be a big summer. I want to get a couple of gems in. I want to get a couple of big names in. And I want to feel excited when August comes around. That's what I want to do. Let's end with the final news. I always go through AFC stuff. Okay, here we go. And then let's do a quiz question at the end. You like that last time? So let's try that at the end as well. Might do some quizzes next week as well. Just me on screen with you guys. See how many you get. Just do 10 questions a day or something for the international break. If you think that's a good idea, let me know in the chat, by the way. Let me know in the chat. Sophie says, how much do you actually think you'll spend, Potts? I think we'll spend 200 million. I think we'll spend 200 million. I don't think that'll be enough, but I think we'll spend 200 million. Or just shy of like 180 million. That's what I think we'll spend. What I think we need to spend is much more than that. I think we need to be looking at a £300 million summer. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Okay, this comes in from Martin Odegaard. Apparently they asked him, where do you saw yourself in 3 years' time? He says, where do I see myself? Hopefully at Arsenal, having won a few trophies, enjoying life still. Let's hope he's right, because we need that. Thierry Henry, I'm not into basketball, but apparently he's been filmed with Jackson Hayes and Luka Doncic. I don't know who they are, but if you're into basketball, you will know who they are. David Ornstein's been talking about Max Dowman, which is quite an interesting comment, actually. He's saying it's down to Arsenal to do enough to convince him to sign. Obviously, we might know now, not know if they've succeeded in that until late 25, early 26. Given he's come through there, is an Arsenal fan, appeared to be in a strong position, but considering most big clubs would love to sign him, Arsenal will need to prove their pathway and plans are right for him. The fact Arsenal took him to Dubai recently indicates how highly Arteta thinks of Dowman, and there's been no suggestion that he'll get special dispensation to play for the first team this campaign. So unless that changes, the focus will be on continuing to integrate into the senior setup in pre-season and shining in 25-26. Talking of the future of this kid is exciting, and I'll tell you why. There's not many under 18s that people are talking about at the moment, but trust me, this guy everyone's talking about. They all saw him against Chelsea. They all saw him against Birmingham, putting one top bins. They all saw him against Manchester United in the under 18s youth kid. This kid is 15 and he looks ridiculous. I have not seen anyone physically doing an eye test as good as I have this kid. He walks past players like they're not there. He's got unbelievable maturity for his age. The way he plays looks like a man, not a child. And I've got a lot of hope for him. I really have, alongside Ethan and Miles. So I hope that he continues to impress. And I actually think he'll get a game for Arsenal this season. I think Mikel will put him on towards the end of the season, maybe against Southampton on the last day. Who knows? We'll see. Again, Thierry Henry. We've spoken about Bruno G. Big up to Granit Xhaka and his missus, who have given birth to their child. And then you've got Declan Rice and Miles Lewis-Skelly talking about the England setup. And we mentioned that earlier. So I think we're good. Listen, people, big up to every single one of you that's here. I really appreciate every single one of you. Please make sure you do me a favor and hit the like and the subscribe button. And we will go for a couple of quiz questions to complete. Now, the last time I did this, I don't know if people saw it. But trust me, it almost embarrassed me because it actually got a question wrong. In this book, that is the author, James Conrad. I'm going to find out who James Conrad is, because the question was, where did we sign Bellerin from? And I said Barcelona, which is correct. And it tried to say that we bought him from Barnsley, which is crazy to think that, right? Barnsley. I mean, seriously, what is happening there? You know, it's a madness, right? An absolute madness. Let's do a few questions on my favourite ever player for Arsenal, Ian Wright. Let's do that. Quiz question 13. That's where we're at. Okay. Let's go. Let's do 5 questions on Wrighty, shall we? Here we go. To close. Where did Ian Wright start his professional career? You've got 15 seconds. Where did Ian Wright start his professional career? Whoever gets it right first will get put up on screen. Big up to everyone that said Crystal Palace. Big up to my boy Ash, who got it right and was up first. Well done, man. That was really quick, by the way. Really bloody quick. Okay, question number 2. How much did Arsenal pay to sign Ian Wright in 1991? How much did we sign Ian Wright for? Whoever gets it first gets put up on screen. Ash doing well at the moment. 5 seconds. Okay, the correct answer and the winner of this round is Stoffel Bell. It is £2.5 million from Crystal Palace. So big up to you and well done. Okay, the next question. How many goals did Ian Wright score in his league debut against Southampton? How many goals did he score in his league debut against Southampton? How many goals? How many goals? How many goals? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've only gone and done it again, Stoffel. My goodness. Well played. Well played. He got 3 against Southampton in his first game for Arsenal. We also played Southampton as the last game of the season, where he scored another 3 goals. What a legend, right, he was. Okay, number 4. The next question is, in his first season with Arsenal, he was the league's top scorer. How many goals did he score? How many goals did he score? Question number 4. Let's see who's got it. I'll give you another 15 seconds because that one's quite hard, to be fair. No one's got it yet. No one's got it yet. Wow. No one's got it yet. Can you believe it? Nobody's got it. I'll give you another 10 seconds. And we have a winner. And it is my good friend, Gunnar Russ. 29 is the answer. 29 league goals for Wrighty that season. Big up to you, Russ. I hope you're well, mate. And well done on that one. Okay, who was the manager when Ian Wright handed in a transfer request? Who was the manager of Arsenal when Ian Wright handed in a transfer request? Have a guess. Have a guess. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, this is a draw because on here it does say that someone is ahead. And I would normally say, Stoffel, that you have won it. But literally, as I looked up, you both, along with Russ, went exactly the same. So you two, I'm going to give it to both of you. Well done. It was Bruce Rioch, of course. Chelsea, massively interested. It looked like he was going to go as well, by the way. So there we go. Okay, where else are we? Okay, this one's quite a good one. This one is quite a good one. Where are we? Okay. Ian Wright's sons, Bradley and Sean Wright Phillips, both played for the same club at different times. What club was that? Bradley Wright Phillips and Sean Wright Phillips both played for the same club at different times, but what club was that? 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Wolsey, Man City. Well done. Well done to Ash, Paul. We've also got Russ as well. A lot of people knew that one as Man City. A lot of people said Man City. And fair play because it was Man City. Good stuff. Okay. Let's go with the last question, which isn't going to be an Ian Wright question, actually. It is going to be a random one for you as I play out. Where are we? Let's go with this one. Here we go. Who scored the first competitive goal at the Emirates Stadium? And it is a Premier League game. Who scored the first competitive goal in this game? Does anybody know who it was? I'll give you a clue. It's not an Arsenal player. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tina, well done. It was Olof Mellberg. Well played. Yeah, it was Olof Mellberg and Gilberto got the equaliser. So a lot of people that said Gilberto, it was not the first Arsenal player. It was the first player to score at the Emirates competitively, which was Olof Mellberg, Aston Villa, 1-1. Big up to all of you. Good bit of fun that. I'll do some more of those as well for the international break. I'll do some pre-records so it all comes out and you can all let us know in the comments how many you get. I'll just do 10 questions and then you can let us know how many you get out of 10. Big up to all of you. Make sure you hit the like button, people. Make sure you've hit subscribe as well. It's been great to have a chat with you tonight. I'm glad I did this. I was going to kind of do it, but last minute decided that I might have a chat with you all because it's been some time. So big up to you. Big up to Hassam as well, who's raided. Absolute legend. Make sure that you go and show him some love, who is a legend, by the way. Absolutely love what he's doing. Make sure you're following Don Hassam. A lot of people speaking about Saeed's tier list as well. I did look at it earlier and he did speak very highly of the channel. So big up to Saeed, man. Absolutely love on Saeed. He's a legend. So yeah, man. That has to be done. I'm gonna send you over to Lee. Lee Gunner is on right now. So let's send you over to him. He's chatting with the guys at the moment about the Arsenal. So let's keep it Arsenal related. And you can go say hello to him. But make sure, please, that you hit like and subscribe. I'm going to be on the terrace tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock with Hassam and Mo and Terry. That'll be 11 a.m. in the morning. And then I'll be back probably with Lee tomorrow to talk Arsenal. So please make sure you come show him some love. Lee Judges TV. That's where I'll be tomorrow as well. And I'll probably drop something on here as well, to be fair. So go and show some love to Lee at the moment. Yeah. it'll be good to go and see what they're talking about over there. I think Igal might be on as well. So that should be good fun. Big up to Sam again for the raid. Big up to everyone that's here. Make sure you do me a favor, hit like and subscribe. Make sure you click on the link to football prizes because there's not long to get in for that one. So click on the link in the description. Make sure you get over to football prizes and get in for that Arsenal award. Of course, if you are an Arsenal fan. And yeah, we'll see you next time, people. We're out of here. Laters.